This phrase honors the fullness of being human, soft and strong, open-hearted, and self-protective. Love isn't weakness. Love knows when to stay and when to walk away. So that's sort of where this phrase, "you are loved," comes from. And it's a wonderful message. Pass out stickers and sell the t-shirts that have "you are loved" on the back. They're on the website. Feel free to, there's t-shirts and hoodies. So, you know, I like this for many reasons. You know, many things can be true at once. Many perspectives can coexist. And there's not just one truth. I think there are many. And I love boundaries. I mean, it's a healing experience to create a boundary and to also to receive a boundary. To me, I know part of my story is being in recovery, and yeah, I've had to, or my family has had to create boundaries, and you know, they've had to say, "You are loved, but fuck off." And I mean, that's an important part of how I got sober, is, you know, the boundaries. And when we create boundaries and we say no thank you, and we acknowledge when people are doing and saying harmful things, we're giving them an opportunity to change and grow. Because if people keep on doing and saying things that are causing harm, then, and if no one says anything, then no one's going to change. And so we can say no thank you. We can say, acknowledge when people are doing and saying things that are causing harm. And we can do it in a loving way. It's not an either or situation. So it's just like but you know, it's an important part of my story and being in recovery. And I guess to share a little bit about recovery. I mean, the one thing that comes to mind is the definition, or a definition of addiction, which I got from a psychiatrist named Gabor Mate. He is like a pretty well-renowned psychiatrist in recovery and addiction. He worked. He worked in many capacities, but he worked in, I think, in a treatment center in Canada. And he wrote a book called "In the Realm of the Hungry Ghost." And I read it when I was in the psych ward. Part of my story is I was a mess, and you know, I had to be put in a place where I was safe. And when I was in the psych ward, my sister, my oldest sister Megan, she bought me this book, and it's a wonderful book. I encourage anyone to read it, whether your life has been affected by addiction or not. And he talks about addiction, and he defines it as, and I'm loosely sort of paraphrasing, he defines it as any behavior that's causing harm to ourselves or others, and yet we continue that behavior anyways. We come to terms, or we have a certain level of awareness that harm is being caused, but we just do it anyway. When we define it in that way, we capture, I mean, I feel like 90% of the population. I mean, a behavior that is causing harm, and we just keep on doing it over and over and over and over again. I mean, that includes drugs and alcohol. That includes sex addiction. That includes gambling. Hoarding. That includes codependency and you know, being in these relationships that just, you know, they cause harm, and yet we stay in them. And I mean, that's been a part of my story. There's compulsive buying or shopping. There's all sorts of addictions and ways that we're causing harm. There's sort of these harmful attachments that we have to people, places, and things, or even ideas, and they cause harm, but we just hold on to them anyway. And so I really like that definition because it sort of it unifies us, and um, it's, I guess, it's almost like this blend of, our experiences are unique but also the same, and I think both are important to acknowledge. Um, that the addiction of drugs and alcohol is not the same as sex or codependence. I mean, they're different, but they are the same. And I think both are important, and it's important to include the difference, but also the sameness of our experiences. And so that's like a little bit about the definition. And